My name is Shirley Self, and I'm here to talk astrology. Today I wanted to continue with my explanation of the moon phases, the journey of the soul, according to William Butler Yeats. Tonight I've come to moon phase 7, the final phase in the Earth quadrant. Now moon phase 7 is one of this rectangle, 7, 9, 21, 23, and they are the truth seekers. And 7 is seeking the truth of himself. This is, notice we're in, I know my own individuality, and individuality is a key word for moon phase 7. So this is a phase of, what we build here is a characteristic physical abilities, as the opposite phase up here will be the characteristic intellect that has been created. So this is the physical power, the characteristic physical power, and that includes physical mental power. So this is actually a testing of the character that has been created here. And these people are out there to express their individuality. Understand they're at the end of the Earth quarter, and they are physical adepts. They just want to know the truth of themselves. That means independent from outside opinions. These people are, they know who they are, wanting to find out who they are, and they are authorities, to become authority over themselves. And they have, from the technician up there in moon phase 23, they get their technical skill. And their technical skill, well, they're physical adepts. Their technical skill is awesome. They jump into difficult situations because adversity tests them. Difficulties bring out character, and that's what they want to know. Who am I? What can I do? They have a great faith in themselves and in their abilities and in their future. They're optimists. Faith in themselves is what, that's their mask. They have, because they're Earth quarter, they have a heightened sensitivity and an instinctive understanding that guides them. This has been true. These people are sensitive. The ability of the physical body to sense what is going on has been instructing and guiding the first 7 moon phases. And phase 7 is a master of physical sensitivity and information gleaned from the physical sensitivity. So this is the height of the power of the physical body. They're, like I say, they're technical geniuses, which they get from their creative genius up there. And they're meticulous reporters. Of course, you would expect that with the Gemini there and the Aquarius. But it is a characteristic of the technician up there that they see what's going on. They have such a high perspective. So this sensuality, this sensitivity, is attuned to the deeper forces of nature. That's their own nature and the nature of the world around them. That's what they've been studying. And their high spiritual nature that they get from 23 up there in the fire quarter, it allows, they see what is going on in the world, and they see where they can help each other, because this is the highest, they have reached the highest goal of the will of the sun, your sun. The sun has 2 goals: to survive and to be of service. and that higher goal is very manifest in moon phase 7. They have empathy for people who suffer, and they intervene in the world in a very constructive way. They express the greatest of human capacities, which is love. They have a passion for adventure. They like to be out in the scene. They're busy out in the world. Of course they are. Look, Gemini and Aquarius and all that Sagittarius over there. And they have high standards, quality. Standards were pioneered back here at moon phase 6. And moon phase 7 has exceedingly high standards. Quality is rules everything they do. They act locally, Gemini, and they love who they're with. Their relationships are close and practical relationships. The people they work with, the people they dance with. Their instincts are complex. The instincts are of the body. And by this time they're incredibly nuanced. They're conscious. And the instincts are wonderful, and are their talent, their power. But the mind is simple and direct, practical, focused on the practical. Out of phase, they will desire the Aquarius, the end of Aquarius that is not appropriate for them, which is brilliance. So they'll want to know a lot of stuff. This is an out of phase, moon phase 7. And they'll study stuff that is totally irrelevant to their practical world, which is where their power is, which is where their focus ought to be. So if they pursue knowledge for its own sake, just to show the world how smart they are, they'll be irrelevant to the world. They'll be impractical. They are the most practical people. They can fix the world. So out of phase, though, this instinctive understanding won't be honored, and their purpose, their integrity, and these are people of high integrity here. That integrity will be lost. Their sensitivity, however, will cause them a lot of emotional turmoil. Over here is their body of fate. If you, when you fall out of phase, if you're not using your energies as best you can, the body of fate will throw you into turmoil. And you can see the emotional turmoil. It's deep emotional turmoil that can come from not attending to the practical world that they love, and where they're competent. So, and they can also yearn for material prosperity. That's success on by other people's standards. Phase 7 has his own standards that he is to live by. His out of phase, that great compassion that causes him to intervene in the world to fix it, to bring the world into a nicer place, physically a nicer place. That compassion will simply become self-pity, which is also the curse of moon phase 23, which pities itself for not being the king of the world anymore. Anyway, and they'll become simply efficient instead of compassionate, and dogmatic, but let me have a sip of water. In phase, these people they're adventure, and they're incredibly adventurous. They're adventurous, and that will perfect their knowing of themselves. They deliberately pick up difficult projects, adventure off into difficult territories, just to test their character. The people are here are as Gemini is honorable, straightforward, consistent. That they get that consistency from the creative genius up there. They are pure character. They're physical adepts. And their actions have a benevolent effect on the world. If they follow their own instincts, they'll be out in the flow and they will be happy. They need to develop faith in themselves and in what they can do in the world. And that way they will live up to their spiritual ideals, which are exceedingly high. So, some moon phase sevens, Mother Cabrini. We have, outside Denver, we have the shrine to Mother Cabrini. Ulysses S. Grant. Now, I am an aficionado of biographies, and I recommend the autobiography of U.S. Grant. I just loved the man. I loved the man. He's an honorable man. Alfred Hitchcock was a moon phase 6. Walt Whitman. Ava Gardner. You might not remember Ava Gardner. She was one of my favorite actresses back in the day. JFK Jr. and J. Robert Oppenheimer. The father of the who fathered the atomic bomb. So there we have here. Let's look at the Kabbalah. I put this on the Kabbalah. It's very informative. This is a Kabbalah from the Golden Dawn, the snake upon the tree. Okay. Here we are. Moon phase 7 and 21. This is death. It's the connection between Venus and the Sun. So here is death. This is the Golden Dawn version of death. Notice it's a skeleton. And 6 and 21. I always point. 6 and 21 are both skeletons. They have constructed character. The framework for 7 is constructed of physical abilities, the characteristic physical abilities, and in the next quarter, he will fill that, or he will empower that by with creative. He'll put muscle on it, creative muscle. In the water quarter, using intuition and the image making abilities of the subconscious. In here or in moon phase 21, you've got a characteristic intellect, which in the fourth quarter will be filled with, empowered with spiritual muscle. So this is the card of, this is not death. If you want to say this uses as death, then what he uses is birth. And for birth, you have to use the devil then. Because virtually one's birth is the immersion, the dropping into the limitations of the physical plane. And that is virtually the limitations of the physical plane are the devil. Anyway, so that's the birth card. If you want to use it as a death card, I don't use it as a death card. I use it as there are no higher authority over me if I draw this card. I am my own authority. I have eliminated all other authorities. I follow my own path. There is no king. There is no pope. I am my own man, woman. So the skeleton here is simply character that has been constructed. And one of the keywords for death is the fish, and that's the imaginative intelligence, which 7 has perfected. It is Scorpio, and so we have sex again, of course. And Scorpio is interesting. Let's look at this card. It doesn't have the scorpion on it, but that's where it begins. The scorpion who crawls on the earth and stings you. Becomes the serpent who wiggles its way upward, as this one is wiggling its way upward, and becomes the eagle who soars beyond the common realm. So what this is a card. It is a development of an individual, independent thinker. Okay. This is the card of the creative genius and the body of fate. It's right up here. It's the card for 9 and 23, the Hermit. The Hermit, one of the key words for the Hermit is the hand. The hand is the ultimate creative tool. And the Hermit is the completed adept and is the ultimate hand of God on earth. The rod he carries is the creative power of the Kundalini. It's a Virgo card, Virgo, and that Virgo is hunger. Hunger for spirit here. Connecting hunger for spirit. The sun here, hungering for Jupiter. That's Virgo. So there are the cards that are pertinent. And let me show you a moon phase 6 here. 7. 7 is Nikola Tesla. His information is 10 July 1856 at 12 a.m. You got to wonder about that time. Might not be accurate. In Smiljan, Croatia. That's S-M-I-L-G-A, or J-A-N, sorry. S-M-I-L-J-A-N. So, this is Nikola Tesla. He was a Cancer. We've all agreed he's a genius. His ascendant is in Taurus, and that's one of the reasons why I do like this ascendant, is because it pretty much describes him. Is ruled by the moon in Cancer, which is in mutual reception with the moon in Libra. Okay, here's the moon in Libra over here, and here's the moon in, or Venus in Cancer down there, conjunct the sun. He's got 3 planets in Cancer. So anyway, his midheaven, I wanted to tell you, is in Capricorn, and that's ruled by Saturn, which is down there in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, which is ruled by Venus. So virtually his Venus rules the horoscope. But this Mercury's got down there. Where is that Mercury? 28 Gemini is unaspected. The only aspect it's got, it has no Ptolemaic aspects. The only one it's got is a septile to Pluto. He might have other septiles. I was just looking to see if this Mercury had any aspects in the septile to Pluto. Septile is a division of the circle by 7, and is a muy important aspect for the future. People who have septiles are going to affect the future of society at large, in a good way, or they can do it in a bad way. And so Tesla had this beautiful this aspect between Pluto and his Mercury. The Mercury being unaspected by a general, the Ptolemaic aspects, means that it gave him a lot of free range. This is an independent mind, which is a hallmark of Moon Phase 7, an independent mind. And that the thing about him is he never slept. He had a trouble sleeping because that mind never shut up. Look at it. The only connection it's got to Pluto was to Pluto, and it just never turned off. Never turned off. So he didn't get much sleep. He had one planet in fire. It's an important planet because it's Jupiter in the 12th house. He's got a really powerful connection to, notice the trine, from his sun to Neptune. And that's an access to the subconscious that is virtually automatic. And that's what Moon Phase has done, is accomplished to bring the mind together, and it's working together beautifully, the subconscious and the logical mind. So he's got all these air planets. He's got 3 air planets, that Libra he's got. He's got 4 water planets, and those water planets make you exceedingly sensitive. And he's got 2 earth planets. And those 2 earth planets are also very sensitizing because the Pluto is in Taurus, right there on the ascendant, and the Uranus was in Taurus. Now, here was a guy who was born during a thunderstorm. And his sensitivity was a special sensitivity to electricity. I think he could actually feel it in the earth. So his sensitivity up there. Notice the Chiron is up there in Aquarius, conjunct Fortuna, which is good fortune, and it's an earthing, a good earthing point. It's actually related to the relationship of the sun and the moon, and that's Fortuna. So electricity, people tend to go into the thing that they're intended to do, their life's destiny, by way of the door of Chiron. And his Chiron was right up there in electricity. So his ascendant, you remember, is the will. His descendant over here is his mask, and that's the way through. That's the means by which you accomplish. The goal to accomplish will be the descendant plus 25 degrees over here. Descendant plus 25 degrees. And so that is, the descendant, that's the creative genius, the descendant plus 25 degrees, and that's a goal, and he had a goal to bring electricity to people, to raise people's standards. This is over here in the Virgo house, where he could see that he could see a need, and he wanted to fill it. And that, remember, that 6th house is his house ruled by Mercury, that free-ranging, unfettered Mercury. So, speaking of the 6th house, he was an incredibly abstemious and a careful man, careful of his health. He lived a very regimented life. He lived to be 86, and this in spite of the fact that at age 81 he was hit by a taxi cab. Anyway, that shows the care he took of his body, and that is an example of anybody in the first quarter, the Earth quarter, is attention to the physical needs, attention to the physical body. It will tell you what it needs. It will tell you what it doesn't like. And these people are learning to pay attention because it is their guidance. So that is Nikola Tesla. He was an amazing man. He worked down in Colorado Springs, in Manitou for a while, rolling balls of lightning down the valley toward the city. He was an experimenter. Moon phase 7 is an experimenter. He was a master of his, and he was attuned to his physical body, was attuned to electricity, and became a master of electricity. We are still experimenting with the stuff he discovered and opened up to us, experimenting in a good way, some of it, subtle, and experimenting in a bad way in it, as some of it. That's also the subtle, is the government has taken a hold of a lot of Tesla's work and is doing strange things to it that if you knew about it, you would not approve. I mean, I barely know about it, and I don't approve at all. So anyway, that's Moon Phase 7. And so don't be afraid of this card. This is a card of owning your own mind. This is not a card of death unless you decide it should be a card of death. And if you got a card of death, like I say, you've got to have a card of birth, and that's the devil over there. I just, forget it. That's all for, we've finished the first quarter. I keep pointing to something that isn't there anymore. And I pray that you have blessings wherever you turn. And I will see you soon, and we're going to start on the water quarter. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.